It is space. It is the wonderful world of astronomy. But in order for us to figure that out, we have to go back in time to where it all began.
With the Mesopotamians and the first settlement of agricultural societies. Their land was between the Tigris and Euphrates River. It was the birthplace of civilization almost 10,000 years ago. The Egyptians also made a contribution to astronomy and our calendar. They made many advances in medicine and alchemy. They were the ones who made 12 months in a year and 30 days in each month. But February was the exception.
The sundial was like our first clock. The Stonehenge placed rocks that exhibit alignments with the sun and the moon. The astronomical observations made by the Stonehenge was a simple kind carried out for religions and ritual practices of two people. Our journey now takes us to the Chinese. They developed a largely clear picture of the Indo-European sphere and developed its own particular methods. The Chinese developed an extensive system of the zodiac design to help guide the life of people on Earth. Their version was called the Yellow Path.
Thales is a Greek philosopher who lived around 625 to 546 BC. He brought geometry to Greece. By measuring the shadows of Egyptian pyramid, he
figured the height and determined the distance of ships from the shore. Pythagoras was a mathematician that believed everything was related to mathematics and that everything could be predicted and measured in rhythmic patterns, cycles, best known for his theorem, the square of the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides. The Babylonians were discovered in 500 BC. They were civilizations in the same geographic area and inherited the Mesopotamians and Sumerians' astronomical traditions. Perhaps the greatest legacy to modern Western astronomy was left to us by the Babylonians. We still use many of their original constellations to this day. Next, we learn about Aristotle. He proved the Earth had to be a sphere. It was a big mistake, though. Earth was the center of the solar system. There was 4 elements that he studied: earth, water, air, and fire. Aristarchus is the one that came up with heliocentric theory. Earth rotates on its axis. It explains spinning on the Earth, why things go east-west, and the sun is the center of the solar system. Eratosthenes used geometry to measure the Earth. Hipparchus was a very interesting man. He attracted some of the brightest stars and discovered a new star. He's the one that figured out precession. The Mayans were the ones that aligned buildings, monuments, and was big into Venus. Ptolemy 127 AD created a geocentric model that can make accurate predictions. Models included epicycles retrograde motion. In 600 AD, the Muslims named all the stars and kept track with them. Isn't that crazy? In 1473 AD, Copernicus is the one that comes up with accurate heliocentric model of the solar system, had all the planets ordered in circles. Brahe was 1546 AD. He wrote a book that starts looking at planetary motions. He's the one that invented instruments out of metal, lots of time making accurate observations. Galileo is very popular and important. He was in 1564 AD. He made improvements, discovered 4 moons on Jupiter, and discovered sunspots, phases of Venus. Kepler, 1571 AD, works with Brahe. He took Brahe's ideas and came up with laws of planetary motions. Number 1 was the elliptical orbits. 2 is the line connecting a sun to the planet orbits faster closer to the sun. In 1642 AD, Newton invented calculus, came up with the first law of gravity, laws of motion. One was object in motion stays in motion. Law of inertia, force equals mass times acceleration. And number 3, every action, there's a reaction. In 1682, Edmund Halley discovered Halley's Comet. That's what he was most famous for. In 1905, Einstein came up with special relativity and photoelectric effect. Niels Bohr came up with the atomic model, quantum mechanics. Wolfgang Pauli was an Australian-born Swiss theoretical physicist. He was one of the most important. Heisenberg came up with the uncertainty principle. You change speed or location. Hubble discovered universe was expanding. The redshift is moving away from you. Lemaitre universe must have been small. Big Bang creation was the beginning. Oppenheimer was the father of atomic bombs, studied Newton's stars. Hoyle hated the Big Bang's theory and went with steady-state theory. Nucleosynthesis all came from hydrogen and formed into stars. Next, we had Pedius and Wilson. They came up with static came from the Big Bang. Armstrong and Aldrin were the last of our few, and they were the first guys to go to the moon. Armstrong was first.